it's very impressive. What was your approach to casting? I understand there are it's a mixture of actors and non-actors. How, you just talk a little bit about the approach to that.
Yeah, the approach, when you finally realize that you can shoot in a location, some core of the cast has to be from that location. Southern Missouri has a very specific dialect and accent. You know, I don't know how well that comes across, you know, over the ocean, but you know, for me, you can sort of hear my dead neutral East Coast situation verbally. That there's a much more lyrical, you know, pronunciation of American English in other parts of the country, and I would say for me, the Ozarks is one of those locations, and for any cast members not in that region to be able to speak and exchange and be immersed with cast members, even if they've never had any acting training, from there, that's just going to get inside everyone's ears. 6 weeks into the pre-production, people are hearing it, they're feeling it. John Hawkes, who played Teardrop, had the benefit of being able to ride around with some men who brought him to bars and you know, just talked to him for quite a few days in a row. And he felt like he was, you know, immersing himself, absorbing that. Jen Lawrence, who plays Reed, is from Kentucky, and I know you met her at the beginning of the film. It was very easy for her to make that adjustment and absorb local twist to her language. She already had a Kentucky accent, and then there was also a tier of trained actors from Missouri who had never had a crack at any kind of public performance. They were coming out of Missouri State University, and they were definitely aspiring actors, and this was their debut, and they were, you know, I think one key for a film that's scrappy, that is made in a low-budget fashion, is hunger. Everyone has to be hungry. The makers have to want to make it very badly. The DP has to want to shoot it, and it's crucial that I distract myself by saying that the DP is Michael McDonough, born and raised in Paisley, and coming back home, he just got a flat in Glasgow, and after a long sabbatical in the United States, and he, you know, he was hungry, and everyone in the cast, you know, even if they've had a lot of experience, Dale Dickey, who plays Mayrab, there's, you know, all the leads have had experience, and they work out of the coast, they get cast out of the 2 coastal hubs, and yet they all have roots in the surrounding states, in Tennessee and Mississippi, but no film can have a pulse and have a real gut unless there's that appetite. You know, no one can feel ambivalent or jaded, not when you're working on location, far away from places you know.
I was just going to say, I'm actually from Louisville, Kentucky, and the immediate thing that struck me was it felt like it was from Appalachia, and I was surprised that it was coming from Missouri. And so in that regard, at least in the States, I think it'll be surprising for other people to know about that type of regional aspect to Missouri that maybe they didn't expect. But I thought it was interesting that both areas could, you know, that it had the same quality. So. And
they were very related, you know, I don't know, the intrepid Highlanders that arrived there hundreds of years ago first went to Appalachia, and then they actually, when that got too crowded for their liking, they went over to and started settling up the Ozarks, and you know, so yeah, the music, a lot of it, and some of the original phrasings, you know, it's coming right out of where we stand now, or you know, farther north of here. So yeah, it's a really people in the Ozarks have a lot of reverence for their Scottish blood, and you know, have a lot of I would say they hold some of the ballads very sacred. And it's, you know, even though a lot of genealogy gets lost over the years, there's that thread is still there.
What's your background? How do you study film, and how do you work in the film industry?
My background came out of working in the Boston area in educational media making, and then I put myself back into film school after working in the field, and I'd worked for documentary filmmakers, and had always had kind of a documentary approach, you know, actually enjoyed the act of documenting, and worked for years also as a camera operator in that context of educational and documentation. And then went to NYU Film School and had the great luck to be taught by a really rigorous Eastern European film master who had come to New York in the 80s and taught sort of a really arduous style of film instruction. So I got the benefits of being exposed to a huge amount of neorealist film from around the world, and including some of the stuff that was just really strong coming out of Eastern Europe in the 60s and 70s.
I was listening to your interview with Terry Gross a couple of days ago, I think, and I came in at the part where you were talking about optioning the book before it was even published, I think, is what you said. How did you know about Daniel's work, and how did you get to option it before it was even published?
The practice of putting out a book before publication is common, especially when there's desire by the author that it might be made into a film. So the book circulates pre-publication to, not in an exclusive way, in a very broad way, like what I call sometimes the general pipeline. And so through that, a person who was helping me and Anne find work gave us that to read, and it was just like, it just really, vibrated on our desk. It was so much stronger than anything we've been sent the whole year. And so we tried to do this special emergency button they talk about, where if you live on the East Coast, you call someone on the West Coast, like before 7 a.m., and you call them, and that's how you indicate that you don't just think it's good, or that you like it, or that you love it, and that you really would love to try to do it. And Michael, who I've just spoken about, he was the person who got really adamant. He read it soon after. We always pass everything that we like to him, just to see if it's going to psych him up on the photographic level. And he had been working his day job, working on Trump's reality TV show, swallowing all his Paisley politics just to get money from the man, and he got it, and he came around, and he was the first person to throw the money into the kitty for the option. He's like, don't sit there and debate this one, don't deliberate, don't ask, just here are my shekels, they're in here, and now you put yours in. So we tried to act on it really quickly. But it was languishing, to be honest. That film no one was clamoring to make it, because it has these, marks of the devil for the American film industry. It's heavy, it's dark, it deals with the lives of people who don't have a lot of material wealth. It's not shot in California, and it doesn't perpetrate the myth of American affluence around the world, so. It was not popular. No one else's phone was ringing. We were the only, fools to call up. But we did.
Yes.
How did you cast the role of Reed? Because obviously that central performance is going to be really crucial to the film working. And it absolutely does work.
So the method for casting Reed was actually, we did not know about her. We did not know about Jen before she came into the audition. But she had done, unbeknownst to us, she had done a lot of work on the script. She had really read it thoroughly. It wasn't just like, learning her little section for the audition. She had kind of mined the script and come up with a lot of thoughts about the character. So when her audition happened, it was very full-bodied. It was very informed by lots of thinking that she had done. And then at one point, I said, look, pardon me, just my East Coast problems here. I don't really think I know fully, like, what "come the nut cutting" means. Obviously I could think about what that meant. And she, her whimsical way was like, God, well, I can just call my dad, And it was like just the fact that she had like this authoritative, Kentucky. She had parents who could talk to her about stuff. We had them one night actually, consult with us. And so her Kentucky background meant a lot to me. When she spoke the script, she didn't stumble and have a lot of problems. She didn't, I didn't want an actress to have to siphon off half of their psychic energy to try to imitate an accent. God, that's one thing. It's sort of a big loss that, when people go to the coast, they're expected to lose their accents and speak neutrally. And as you guys know from this large nation here, that it's like accents do matter, and they do define a lot, and they are part of like biodiversity. And so the fact that she was willing to like pull that aspect out of her, and that she had it, meant a lot. And she was willing, and she knew she'd be in every scene. So when an actress indicates that they know that, and they're willing still, and they want it, it goes from there. You see in that person a truly, generous collaborator who you will be able to work with.